another Facebook Live here at the Elms at Torksey in Lincolnshire. Welcome to everybody that's going to hopefully be joining us today. And as you may have noticed from the promotions that we did for today we thought we'd talk again about top tips for selling your park home. I think a lot of people sometimes are curious about the differences between buying and selling a park home, but certain things are the same, and we'll touch on those a bit later. But to begin with, I'll just clarify the ways in which you can sell a park home. Usually people, when they come here, we find people say that this is their last move, they don't want to move again, they're really looking to settle down and fully retire. But obviously sometimes things in life change, and there are reasons why people do have to move, be it for health or family situations change, that kind of thing. So when you're thinking about how can I sell my park home, you have the same options as bricks and mortar. So you can sell to the general public via an estate agent. So you can take your pick of local estate agents and have them market your property for you. And then you'll usually find that your home will show on all the various websites such as Rightmove and similar. You can choose not to use an estate agent, and you're free to put a for sale sign outside your home. And as a park, we have a dedicated notice board in the bus shelter that is specifically just for people selling their own homes. So as visitors come to view the Elms, and they'll call into our office, and we are on hand every day to just explain the management of the park and how the Elms is run and the rules and regulations and the pluses and minuses and everything. We're there, so we will always point visitors to the notice boards and remind people to have a look out for the for sale signs as they go around the park on their travels. And then obviously there's the option to sell back to the park owner, which many people do consider. It doesn't suit everybody because we don't offer the full market value. We're looking at properties thinking how much work we might like to do to them, how long we might have them in hand, and all those kind of commercial decisions that we would have to bear in mind. But for some people, it's a quick, easy sale, and it's very much dependent on their circumstances. So going back to, you're about to sell your property on the open market, and you're thinking about the things that you might want to do. So same as any property, Emma's found me this great phrase here: there's never a second chance to make a first impression. So as all the property programs on the telly will tell you, it's really important to make sure that your property is well presented to anybody coming to view, and to bear in mind perhaps that a simpler decluttered approach is best, because not everybody would necessarily have the same taste as you, and also a room. We all love our families and we have lots of photographs and memorabilia around our homes, but that can be distracting for people, and the advice is always from the professionals to declutter as much as possible. But I always think as well, again, your front door, and think about how people are approaching your property. Are the paths full of potted plants, or is it easy for them to navigate and see an open aspect as they come up to your property? Is the path up to the doorway clear? Are there cobwebs around the door? Things like that. It's all great first impressions that you can make for a clear, clean, well managed. Obviously you're going to be making sure that there's no weeds on the path, that the grass is cut, that your garden's looking really neat and tidy and at its best. Whether that's winter or spring or summer, it doesn't matter. You know, it's important that it just looks looked after and well cared for. And same with the outside of the home. Make sure that any obvious repairs have been done. Anything that you think might need doing, have it done. And it might be helpful to get somebody else to look at your home if you can bear the honesty, because sometimes we don't see our own things that we might need to be done on our property, or if you're like me, you see nothing but everything that's wrong and needs doing. But sometimes it might be helpful to get a trusted friend to come and have a look and say, what do you think? If you were looking at my property, what should I remove or add or anything like that? Another thing I think that is worth considering is if you have great views from your windows, make the most of those. If you've got blinds, make sure they're up and the curtains are open. And if it's a nice day, perhaps have a window open so they can hear the birds tweetering, things like that. I think it's all helpful in showing off the best aspects of your home. So then going on to kind of the business side of things, I would recommend that you have a copy of the outgoings and your bills, things like that, so that if people start asking you how much does it cost to live here, you've got those figures to hand so you can quickly respond with accurate information about that. And accuracy of information is always important because you don't want to be misleading people or inadvertently, perhaps saying the wrong thing. So you can talk about the outgoings, about the council tax. I mean, we're lucky here, all our properties are band A, so that's a plus. And you could perhaps explain about the gas deliveries, how they work, how much your electricity is, what pitch fee you pay, and maybe have a copy of the park rules on hand, and just be ready. Another idea is to make sure that the home is warm or perhaps not too warm. So it's a comfortable temperature when people come in, especially important if the property's been empty. And we notice that even when we're showing our show homes, that sometimes in the winter months we just need to turn the heat up a little bit more than is probably necessary, just so that they don't feel quite, chilly when you walk through the door. And aromas. A nice, perhaps a bit of a cliche about the home baked bread or the fresh brewed coffee, but again, it is important that everything that people experience as they enter your home is positive. Now, with the viewing, it's tricky because I think sometimes we might be nervous or obviously super keen to sell, and there can be a tendency to perhaps talk too much. And engage too much with the customer. So it's good to engage with them, it's good to connect with people, and it's good to give out all the information, but it's also a good idea to just step back a little so that people can have time to absorb the room and think about any questions that they might have as they're looking around. So if you can imagine, I liken it to my son, when he was little, super chatty, we'd be going around and I'm trying to do the shopping and he's chat all the time, and I just can't focus on what it is I'm trying to look at. So just think about that, and there's nothing wrong with there being a period of silence where people just have a think, and it allows that customer time to brew their own questions, so that you're not oversteering things in one direction or another. And maybe have a think about some not so obvious things that you liked about the home or that you now like about the home. I mean, people generally tell us that they're sad to be going, there's reasons that they have to leave. And so think about the things that you might miss, and the things that you've enjoyed while you were here, about the home and about your environment and the setting. It's people can see there's a kitchen, there's a bathroom, that kind of thing, but think about something that you might be able to share with them that they wouldn't obviously pick up from just having a look around. And also it's nice to give people the opportunity to have a look around on their own. We do, when again we do our own viewings, always encourage people to take time on their own after they've had the full tour with us. So obviously it's important that everybody is shown the whole of the grounds, all of the different types of properties, and have time to learn all the facts and figures. But a little explore on your own is a lovely chance to just have a chat amongst your partner. If you've gone to visit a property with somebody or a friend, you might want time to just chat things over whilst you're in the home without the owner stood by you. It might be something that you wouldn't feel comfortable saying in front of them, for example. So have a think about that. And then, as I've just touched on, don't just sell the home. One of the biggest things about living at the Elms is the Elms itself, so, and its surroundings, of course. So always remember to talk about the grounds, point out the woodland walk, the different facilities that come on the park, and also what there is to do in the area, how easy it is to get out and about, cafes, restaurants, shopping, so you can paint more of a picture of what your life has been like, as well as just the home. So that's very important for people, particularly if they're thinking, well, this is where I'm hoping to enjoy the rest of my life. And another thing that's different for us, obviously, is the law is slightly different, but the system for selling a property, buying, selling, is actually fairly straightforward. And we're going to pop a link on here to the government website that has a guide to buying and selling a park home, along with the steps that you need to take and all the relevant forms that you need to have at each stage. And it's really easy to follow, it's very clear. So whilst it's recommended that you might like to choose to use a solicitor, it isn't actually law. You don't have to. So it's very much a personal choice, how comfortable you feel with that process. And as I said before, the most important thing really is the sharing of accurate information. But again, the guides are there, easy to follow, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. But there are free helplines, which is something else that you can have a think about. So it used to be called Lease. They offer free help, which is always very helpful. Now let me just have a look at my, oh yes, deep clean. Make sure your property is clean, of course. I think we've touched on all of that. Getting expert advice, that is an entirely personal thing. So there we are, a little whistle-stop tour of tips and hints for selling your home. So if any of you have anything to share, either from your experience of when you were moving here, that you'd like to pop on the chat, that you think might be helpful for other people, please do, either now or obviously afterwards. And as before, this video will be on our YouTube page for people to have a listen to later on. So I think I'm just going to check with my trusty partner here. Have I said everything, Emma? I have. Good, great stuff. Right, so thank you again for tuning in. And I'm not sure we know what next topic's going to be, do we? So we'll have a think about that. Yeah, we'll keep you posted. Okay, thank you very much. Goodbye.